Hey, Carolina fans, welcome back to Alumni Game. We're stoked. I think you know what time it is. We've been talking a lot about this team through the offseason, through recruiting. It is time to get two games. We are, a couple games have already kicked off this past weekend. Yeah, you can tell the guys are psyched. Me, Sam, and Buster are gonna break down for you here game one versus Virginia Tech. But before we do that, gotta respect some other teams. A couple games did pop off already. Hawaii upset Stanford. That was pretty cool, especially seeing Andrew Luck on the other sideline. And then that Farmageddon they played in Dublin of all places, ISU KSU was nuts. I guess you call it a barn burner, but it's in Dublin, so I don't know what it is. But college football season getting underway, and we're getting to go this weekend at a neutral site, which is a lot of fun. And Sam's got some of the nitty gritty here for us to give us the line and set the tone.
Hey man, he said a
That
barn burner.
tone.
You said a barn burner in Dublin. Actually, I heard a funny stat that there's more farms in Ireland than there are in either
There you go.
Kansas
Yeah.
or
And,
Iowa.
and
Okay.
Armageddon goes worldwide, so I guess that
Farmageddon going
works.
worldwide and a lot of Guinness over there. Listen, a lot of Saturday, people might say we're flying under the radar with our game against Virginia Tech in Atlanta on Sunday. But look, you got Texas versus Ohio State. You got LSU versus Clemson. We played both of those teams, so that's going to be fun to see who's going to lose to us later in the
Mhm.
season.
That's
Really
true.
excited for
Ooh.
that. Let's get right into the Sunday game because Sunday morning, it's all about South Carolina. We're going to be national media front and center. Huge games for
Mhm.
playoff aspirations for us. Little boy ACC taking on one of the kind of guys trying to be the big boy in the SEC, the South Carolina Gamecocks. I'm really excited. It's at Sunday, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 3 p.m. Guys, we are favored by 7.5. The models, I guess there's some sort of ESPN model forecast has us at a 70 to 72% win probability, projected score 30 to 21. That seems kind of close and high, doesn't it? Really cool
That's
coaching plot where we have Shane Beamer going up with his dad's alma mater. Well, excuse me, not alma mater, but the place he coached for nearly 3 decades in Virginia
Yeah.
Tech. And Virginia Tech, and a really fun fact: the very first college football game I ever went to was in Lane Stadium down in Virginia Tech. It predated Enter Sandman before they did that. So
whoa.
super excited. But we've got some three keys to the victory for Sunday. Uh,
Keys, get them
where are the
keys.
keys? And
Jeez.
that's where are the keys? Where are the keys? Where are my
Yeah.
keys?
Yeah, I don't have keys. I don't have keys.
This way here, right? So who wants to start us off with a key to a victory? What's up? We got one, two, three keys. How do we go? Where do we get started here?
All right, I'll do key one. I'll take key one. Key one for the Beamer Bowl. I'm going to go ahead and just nickname it the Beamer Bowl. Dominate the line of scrimmage. I guess this should be a key just because this should be the key for every single game you ever play in the game of football. The line of scrimmage is where games are won and lost, and for us, I think this is a very important aspect of the game for two reasons. One, we have struggled offensively on the offensive line the last couple of years, whether it be injuries, inconsistencies, people not living up to the hype, a wide variety of things where we have not had the strongest offensive line, which does not produce a strong run game, which makes us one dimensional, which puts pressure on our quarterback, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
For
puts you
us to,
behind.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for us, I think to at least be successful from the get go is to have a dominating offensive line of scrimmage. I think we can do that. We do have the talent there. We have 5-star Josiah Thompson coming back at a sophomore year. He's gotten bigger, stronger, and faster. You got guys like Boaz Stanley transferred in, who is cemented in as our center. You got guys that have already been in the program that have experience, like a Tree Babalade, like a Trovon Bow, Kason Henry, and you got a couple of transfers like Nick Sharp and Rodney Newsom who are there for experienced backup, so to speak. And then one of my X factors is Shed Surratt, true freshman. He's already been put on, and I can't remember I think it's the Sean Alexander freshman watch list for like a freshman All American.
The
Shed
Sean
Surratt, an
Alexander?
offensive lineman. Um, I think it's the Sean Alexander.
Ooh.
I don't. I saw that it was a watch list, and for a true freshman offensive lineman to be put on this watch list does say something about his ability and his talent. So for me, the domination comes in: can these guys gel? Can they use their talents? And can they sustain the blocks so that we have that impressive offensive scheme that we have been talking about all offseason?
Right?
On the other side, Sam, tell me about that defensive line a little bit.
You mean our defensive line or Virginia Tech's
Our defensive
defensive line?
line.
I think we got new guys coming in, right? Virginia Tech's offensive line is going to have a couple new guys coming in. We're going to break that down on key number two, but we got some new guys coming in too that we talked about in our last episode. Troy Pikes, I think specifically, is going to have a big role as what's the guy's name from Virginia Tech? Drones when he drops back
Yeah, drones.
in an RPO. Troy Pikes is really going to have to like hone in and focus in on his quarterback man up the middle. We also have Dylan Stewart, number 6, all as
I've never heard of him. Who's that
Yeah.
guy?
it's
Talk
a
about him.
little stud that we had. Little guy signed a pretty big little contract, NIL contract, over the offseason for his well-deserved play. All freshman SEC player. Obviously,
6.5 sacks.
6.5 sacks. Yeah, absolute dog, absolute stud. We also have GBD. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, and if you guys watch the show, and judging by the stats, it looks like you do watch the show. So thank you for returning.
Yeah, if you haven't seen our
love this
episodes
guy.
about a lot of these guys, Troy Pikes, Brownlow Dindy, check them out. They'll get you up to speed on those guys. We won't do that now, but just know that they are monsters, as one of our episodes will tell you. And, we're looking at turnover too, but I think we know who we are, and we have plugged in players to fill those gaps where I think, in the other side, Virginia Tech's kind of trying to, maybe where we were a year or two ago, trying to figure out what they got. Is Drones a guy who could be like a Sellers? Is anyone on their defense, gonna go for all freshman or all American or something like that?
Big thing for the
But
line, Mike. You're right. Like Drones, like he's kind of sneaky. He had about I think was it 1,800 yards passing, had 6 rushing touchdowns as well last year. He's a
Yeah.
bit sneaky if the defensive line for South Carolina really by controlling the lines. When we say dominate the line of scrimmage, we don't mean all hands will rush in and go in. Just play your game. Play what
yeah,
you're designed to do. Trust the players around you. Trust that Fred J.R. Johnson's going to get the pitch man. Trust that Jalen Kilgore is going to be playing lockdown defense. Like, just play your game. Troy Pikes, just focus on your. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, just eat them all up. We got Gear and we got Stewart on the back end. You guys know what your job is. Go get the quarterback. And Troy Pikes, you're kind of the X factor right there in terms of
right.
playing that RPO or
Yeah.
that spread option up the middle. So really, if they just play their game, play exactly the practice. I know they're all, with the exception of Stewart, they're all kind of playing Gear as well. They're all kind of playing for the first time in a new scheme. Just trust the players behind you. Trust your coaches. Do exactly what you're supposed to do, and everything else will fall into place.
Yeah,
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 Sam, you make a great point because one of the things I wanted to look at was how does Drones compare to Lenoris in the sense of, both quarterbacks are considered dual threat in the fact that they have the ability to run, they have the ability to pass. And I was looking at the stats from last year. Drones was around 60% completion percentage, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Rushing, he averaged about 3.4 yards a clip, 6 touchdowns there. And then you look at Lenoris, and he was about 65% completion percentage, 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on the passing, 4.1 run average with 7 touchdowns there. So, Lenoris slightly ahead, but for the sake of the argument, very similar skill sets. And so what that tells me is that our defense has been practicing against Lenoris the entire offseason and into fall camp. So they are prepared for a guy like Tyron Drones. And then you look at the idea that Nick Barrett, Monkel Goodwine, Gabriel Brownlow, and Dindy, if those guys can clog up that middle and force that run game to the outside, then you have guys. Dylan Stewart has shown that he can play against the run. Brian Thomas Jr. shows that he can play against the run on the edges. Obviously, our linebackers are there to fill those gaps. So I think, like you said, if the defense can do what they're supposed to along the line as far as execution and limiting Tyron Drones and his ability to make plays with his feet and through the air, you make him one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And I would take, I'd take a $20 bet to say if we make him one-dimensional and force him to pass against our elite secondary,
defense.
I think we run away with from a defensive standpoint. So,
don't get me
offensively,
wrong. You watch those highlights, and those are intimidating highlights a little bit. I mean, Drones does look strong. He's trucking some guys.
Shifty.
He's going right up the middle. But a lot of that was Old Dominion, okay? Some of that was Marshall.
ACC.
And this is the first game of the year. You haven't had any kind of tune-up to get into this game. You haven't even played an ACC game yet. And you're coming into this, you're going down south to Atlanta to one of, let's be honest, Premier Stadium, where they play big games. We'll talk about that later. And you're going against a team that let's be honest, shit the bed a little bit in the final bowl game. But that I feel like has really tuned us up for this.
You better
And,
believe that the coaches are harping about that. You better
yeah,
believe
and
you'll have
and we
motivation on that.
we want to stick it
Yes.
to the ACC. Every single ACC game we play this year, I want to blow out if I can. I wanna go with what you were saying, Sam, little bro. I want to push little bro into the ground.
Oh yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Competitive. Everybody wants a competitive game. Yeah, great. Maybe early. And Drones can do what he can, but I feel like, look, in practice, if Sellers is going up against our own defense at all, well, then they got an inkling of what Drones can do. And yeah, he's another year removed, and you do have the most amount of prep that you're going to get for any game with the first game of the year. But let's be honest, when any first game of the year, it's the most amount of questions. You just haven't seen it yet. We didn't even see a televised Carolina spring game. So what is it? And I feel like, but that question doesn't go so deep for South Carolina. It goes much deeper for Virginia Tech. From the coach on down, like you said, we know our coach. We know what he's doing. I would even expect a gadget special teams play or two.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, like you said, Mike, I think, and this goes back to the other side of the line of scrimmage for our offensive line. We don't know what we are necessarily getting because, again, the last couple of years we have not been strong on the offensive line. We do know,
or at the start of the season, right?
Exactly. We do know that we have the talent there. We do know that Lenoir is talented. Now that we know that Rasul Faison has gotten his clearance from the NCAA, we know that he can be an elite running back as far as what he's able to do with the ball in his hands, and then also pass protection. But we don't know exactly how their defensive line is going to attack us. Or are they blitz heavy? Are they stunt? Do they play a lot of zone? Like, what does their defense do? And then how does our offensive line adjust to that? And yeah, part of that unknown too, and we'll talk about it later. Just a little, maybe another little key that we'll talk about, this word unknown. Keep bringing it up, but yeah, we'll see later on in the show. But we also have a first-year offensive coordinator, and Mike Shula.
Right.
Although he's been with the program since last year, and a lot of what we saw in the bowl game, as far as not necessarily the outcome of the plays, but some of the scheme and some of the themes, thematic setup of that offense may have been more of a Shula-led offense. So what is he going to do to put Lenoir in the best position in regards to how is he going to have that offensive line block? Are they going to do a lot of like zone blocking? Are they going to do some pin and pull plays? Like, what are we set up? How are they going to execute there? I think we have the advantage solely based on talent and size. I mean, average size of our offensive line right now is 6'4", 320, 6'4", 330, depending on who starts at right tackle. So
that's a good call. We're probably really big in the offensive line for the first time in a long time. We're bigger than the competition. I'm really digging that.
Bringing up an interesting question for me with some of the stuff you said, Buster. Like, just in general, I guess, even outside of this specific matchup for Carolina and just who we are and what we're doing here, where do you expect a slower start, on defense or on offense for the Gamecocks? Because from what you're saying, I kind of think a little bit of a slower start on offense. I mean, we could get rolling right away. Don't get me wrong. Lenoris could go for something.
Something tells me that might come up in key number 3.
Yeah.
It
just occurs to me that even though we are so big on the offense, that with a new OC and what we've said about the wide receivers, watch our wide receiver episode, that could be a little slower there. But just something I'm thinking about.
I don't know. I think, to me, if you're going to talk about a slow start, or if there's anything that shows a level of vulnerability along the line of scrimmage, I would say it's our D tackles. Those guys, now they have played. Nick Barrett and Monkel Goodwine have played before. They were with us last year, but this is their first year starting. And again, we lost a ton of production in TJ Sanders and Nick Barrett. Like, that was a lot of great production, and also Alex Huntley. So I think there's a vulnerability there, just because we don't know what they're capable of from that starting standpoint. We know that they're talented. We know they're athletically gifted. But we haven't seen them in production outside of small glimpses here and there as far as backups. And then, what their backups? Gabriel Bayanlo-Dendi, he came from A&M, but he hasn't had a lot of playing time, even though he's got the size and the speed. We haven't seen him in our defense.
Right.
We haven't seen Xavier Hardy in our defense. He came from JUCO. Christian Ingram, Caleb Williams, those guys are young. They haven't started with us before. So that, to me, that's too much of the unknown that that's where I would probably be most concerned until they get some reps and get that. What I would say, you got to get hit first in the game to feel comfortable and
Yeah,
ready to play some football.
yeah. Buster, I like that because you talk about slow starts on a defense. What's that going to lead to from the opposing offense, right? Big plays because they see an opportunity to get in there, or they see a defense lagging or not communicating correctly, right? And that's going to take us right into our second key here. I got to get that key prop. I got to figure that out. But just, being able to limit the big plays for Virginia Tech. I feel like that's something that we've talked about in almost every Carolina game, that we're doing what we're doing, we're grinding, we're getting them the third down, and then we give up the big play, right? But with this Virginia Tech team, how are we feeling about that? What is their ability to do that, with all their new pieces? But it does feel like Drones would go for that. Coach would go for that. They almost feel like us against some of the big dogs we play in the SEC, that they got to take those risks, right? And our secondary is pretty stacked up. So if they see an opportunity, or they see them early in the game not reacting or not adjusting, go for the big play, right? What else we got there? What else are you thinking there with VTech? I'm not as familiar with them.
Yeah, we'll talk about this in key three, and there's a lot of people not familiar with this particular Virginia Tech team. But I think one of the areas that we saw maybe taking some play, we said the slow starts. There couldn't have been more of a slower start than against Ole Miss last year, especially when kind of went for that fourth down, that fake punt on fourth down. So special teams, despite it being Shane Beamer and Beamer Ball's kind of MO, an X factor kind of could exist, and I'm a little worried about one player on Virginia Tech. His name's Tucker Holloway. Legit punt returner. Does have capabilities to return it. If we're starting off slow, this guy can return it. I mean, he's averaging about 10 or 12 yards per punt. Yards per punt return. I believe he was injured last year, but the year before that, you see this return rate here against, I believe, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, of course, but it's still collegiate.
His legs look so long.
There.
Strides.
He's a good punt returner, man. So if we're starting slow, if we're not able to convert on third down, if we're kind of getting into a lull area, we're at 7-6 in the second quarter, and we're punting, this guy can turn it real quick, and he can shape the game real quick into flipping not only flipping the field, right, and getting the field possession game, but scoring. Yeah. So you got to watch out. So I'm a little worried about kind of the big play potential of certainly Drones and his legs. We saw the clips there when he was running against Marshall, but Holloway too. I mean, this guy could really return it. So I'm hoping you got to stop these big plays, and if we see a stat line where he doesn't even return a punt, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you
too. I don't, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but quarterbacks with a level of mobility. Or in some regards, like just being able to be dynamic either with on the ground or through the air. I'm not saying that we always struggle, but they definitely have the ability to light us up. We saw that last year. Diego. I mean, granted, he put the entire Vanderbilt team on his back, but he was able to make some big plays. Same thing, Brady Cook, Missouri. I mean, heck, we were up on Missouri.
Yeah, I was thinking Missouri, but you're right about Vandy too. Yeah.
And even as much as Cade Klubnik, if you look at that Clemson game, a lot of what he was able to do was with his feet, and especially.
I think he had a rushing touchdown in the game too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. In that middle part of the game, second quarter through the end of the third, there was a lot of chunk plays that Cade made with his feet. And then if you look at their last drive, obviously Lenore scored on 3:16. And then they came down. There was like, a minute 20 left. And I even said to my buddies at the time, I was like, I'm worried that that's too much time.
Yeah.
And what happened was Cade was able, now granted, we were probably playing some level of a shell defense to where it was make them make plays to run the clock, but don't let them get behind you. Totally get that. But
keep them inside the boundary. Yeah.
He was able to get them down the field to the 20. And if it wasn't for a great pass rush by Dylan Stewart, which threw Cade off balance, he threw a bad pass, he was intercepted by Demetrius, we won the game. They may have had a chance to come back and at least tie it with us. So, one of the things that I worry as far as big plays from Virginia Tech is a quarterback that is dynamic and has that ability to beat you with his feet and his arm. We definitely struggled last year with that. So, for us to limit those big plays as far as that's concerned is, play your responsibility. So, defensive line, execute, play your gaps. If it's a run, stuff the run. Nick Barrett, take on those double teams, that sort of thing. Your edge, just set the edge. Don't let them get around you. Linebackers, do not over pursue, hit your gaps. Secondary, keep the guys in front of you. Don't let them get behind you. That, to me, sounds fundamental. It is, but it does take good execution and playing smart.
Yeah, I think especially late in the game when maybe you're gassed,
Guy like Jones, man, just takes one tackle and all of a sudden you got a 20-yard, 30-yard gain, and that just devastates you on a third and long. Just one missed tackle. Just takes one missed tackle.
Not that coach is watching, but if he is, he already knows about this. But we definitely, I don't think we're being homers here. I think we're finding areas that the Gamecocks got to pay attention to. Number one, this quarterback is a little shifty. We haven't done so great against shifty. We got to be on that. And you could get him on first down. You could get him again on second down. But if he gets away on third down, he's getting a first down. That doesn't matter anymore. Yep. And he's right back on it. And this is the type of guy that even if he does throw a pick or he fumbles and gives it away, he's going to come right back out there like Baker Mayfield style and forget everything he did before.
Yeah, he's a veteran.
And that's not the only guy, right?
Yeah.
And that's not the only time you got to be worried about it. They get us to third down, and we do have to punt. That's a problem, not just because we didn't move the ball, but because now this guy gets the time to shine. And do you end up kicking to a corner or kicking in a way? Does it change the game a little bit? Like Sam said, flips the field right away, just the way you're going to do it. And then he touches the ball, and who knows? And also, I feel like, Sam, I'm really with you on that because I get a little worried after that Illinois game and some other stuff we've seen. Look, I love Coach, but everybody's got a little chink in the armor somewhere, right? And I think with Coach, you get him good on special teams or you start doing something that's different, right, with the shifting or the substitutions in that Illinois game. And he gets all out of whack sometimes.
Sometimes a little too emotional, right? Like,
and I'm sure he's been working on that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are who we are and we go to our strengths, right? And his strength is special teams. And it always has been, and it's a part of Beamer ball. So you get him there, and you get a great return out of that guy, even though he knew that was coming, and that's gonna get him, and the guys are gonna know that too. And so I hope that motivation runs deep, and they can stay focused, like we've been saying this whole episode. Play your game, okay?
Yeah.
You knew that could happen. That guy is good on a talent level, and he did what he did. Get him next time, or try and do better on offense so he can't see the ball at all.
Well, that's the thing is, I also look at it like this. It's not just the defense's responsibility to limit big plays. The offense has a level of responsibility in limiting big plays, and they do that because in the sense of if they are efficient and they convert on third down and they don't make timely mistakes, whether it's a holding penalty, a fumble, or anything like that, if your offense is efficient and effective and you go down and you score at will, one, that takes their defense out of the game. They get frustrated. Two, that keeps their defense on the field. The offense can't get into a rhythm. Three, you start doing that, they're playing from behind. They're playing scramble ball, and they're not able to methodically set themselves up for that big play potential. If you can take Virginia Tech out of the game from a mental aspect by constantly being able to score effectively and efficiently on them, they're not going to have a chance to set themselves up for that big play.
Don't have a chance.
So I think the offense just as much has a responsibility to limit those big plays by doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, and I think we just uncovered another area when you said the word penalty. That's probably the only other thing in this game that really keeps Virginia Tech in it. We hurt ourselves, and it's Carolina versus Carolina, and it's like we just aren't executing on a level. Holds, penalties, people are out of position, offsides. Bad substitutions, too many players on the field, shit like that. I don't want to put too much on either side of the ball for Carolina because I don't want to see that. I want to see a clean ball. But it is the first game of the year, and you're not playing at home, and you're not even playing at their home. So I would expect a little bit of that. I just hope it's not enough that I'm sick early.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Mike. That leads us right to like a third key of like controlling your variables and what are the unknowns. Buster, go ahead. Right?
Yeah. So this one was, this one came up only because I had just been thinking about it for the last couple of days and honestly, really the last week. And through what we've been doing, talking on this show, and then the things that I've been reading, and then talking with my friends, we always talk about the things that we know. We know that we have Lenores. We know we have Dylan Stewart. We know that
We
the
have
guys on
Faison
our
now.
offensive line are over 6'4" and over 300 pounds. We know, the abilities of Jalen Kilgore and DQ Smith and guys like that. There's a lot of stuff we don't know, and that can play a big part in how this game, plays out.
Yeah.
Like I always think about, we didn't know that, going back to last year, we didn't know that the refs at the LSU game didn't know how to call a game from a rule standpoint.
Yeah, they're
not
busy
really there,
Rochambeauing over
I had to
there,
put that
yeah.
in there. I had to put that there. But for me, like the big unknown is one. Virginia Tech has 50 out of their 105 players.
Half of the team.
Players. Almost half of the team are new, either through the transfer portal or they're freshmen.
Yeah, I can't review that tape. I don't have that film. Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Especially with those transfers. I think even Beamer said it today in his press conference. He's like, I have to go back and watch game tape of Texas Tech or some other team or whatever, define that player to see, their tendencies. Oh, well, the OC. Well, I have to go back and see the tape from his previous stops and see what kind of tendencies he has. So that doesn't tell you necessarily the whole story, because then what tendencies did change when they moved over to Virginia Tech under Brent Pry's coaching scheme. So that's an unknown there. One of the big unknowns that we as Carolina fans do know about this unknown, we know the way we don't know, is we've had slow starts the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Old Dominion, we were talking about we were going to take them and out back and do work. And then all of a sudden, we're fighting for our life and wondering if this was the right decision to have Lenore start and this and that.
And to even schedule Dominion as a non-conference game.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So then that brings up the point, like we have talked all about this talent that we have and Rasul being free and being able to start at running back. But that doesn't always guarantee the fact that we're going to have a quality fast start or efficient start.
Yeah, I'm most interested in those key areas of the game. The first offensive drive, what's scripted, how you finish into the second half, and then how you finish the fourth quarter. I mean, everything in between is important. Every minute of this game is important. And even if we get up, I want to see execution even then. If we get down, I need to see a lot more execution. But I think some other unknowns we've been talking about is the site. I think we're all pretty confident that being in Atlanta brings an atmosphere. If regardless of how this game plays out, as long as we get a dub, we are 1-0 this year in Atlanta. If we are able and accomplished enough to play another game in this stadium, that is a good season, right? That is all we really care. 2-0 at Mercedes-Benz, and it's a good season. And we can revisit the video at the end of the season, no matter what's happened. If we are that, we are they. We are him, and we are where we want to be. But at the same time, it is a neutral site, and VTech fans could show up. I mean, we're fairly confident that the dominant force here is going to be garnet and black, not this Hokie orange and these uniforms that no one ever wants to wear.
We got
but
those uniforms.
It's possible they show up. It's possible because of the Beamer connection, because it is Atlanta. You can fly right in there, because it is a big ass stadium, and maybe it could be the biggest game of the year for them if they were to do what they think maybe they could do. But it does feel like we might have the edge in that realm, and but it also feels like Virginia Tech isn't going to play in the SEC championship game. They aren't going to be in this atmosphere again. This isn't where they play that game. There's a little more about us and what we want to do and the aspirations that we have. And they could come with a little thumbtack and pop that bubble if they so choose. Or if we, like we said, we do it to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And we just shot after shot in the foot, or because it is the first game, because it is on a Sunday, because it is somewhat prime time for football. And then that too, these guys aren't used to playing on a Sunday and the travel right away. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's a good point, Mike. I mean, well, first off, let's get into these. You show the orange right there in your background, right? But let's just see here's the uniforms, guys. Here's what we're looking at here. It's a little orange. It almost looks like it's Miami. A little bit.
Even this dummy is like packing it.
Yeah, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it.
You know what those jerseys look like? They look like the orange vest you have to wear when you're picking up trash on the side of the road.
Hey,
Yeah, we're
speaking
gonna
of
Sorry
get
to
this
all my
orange out of me
Virginia
now
Tech
too.
fans. I apologize,
Sorry,
but
guys. Okay.
honestly, that's what it looks like.
speaking of picking up trash by the side of the road, so good point there, Mike. In terms of like they got a good fan base. Virginia Tech does have a good fan base. So one of the
Yeah.
unknowns is like how are they going to show up? It's a pretty beautiful drive down 81, down 77 to Atlanta.
Mhm.
It's probably about 5 or 6 hours from Blacksburg to Atlanta, I would imagine. But it's beautiful. It's right there in the mountains. People come down on a Friday. You got Labor Day off, right? So you come back on a
Maybe they got a
Monday.
lot of Delta miles, you
Maybe you
know?
got Dolphin miles. Maybe you fly. Like, I mean, this could be a good weekend to come down. So one of the unknowns there is definitely like, how's the crowd going to respond? And especially, I do expect us to have more fans. Don't get me wrong, but if it's a close game, are those Hokie fans going to be loud? Like, are they going to start taking the kind of that fluster away? Let's say in the third quarter, it's like a
Ooh,
13-10 game. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, it gets kind of loud in there. They got something to cheer for. That's a good factor of an unknown. Another unknown. I got a question for you guys. What sideline does Frank Beamer stand on? Which one's it going to be?
ooh.
Is
He
it going
got
to
to
be
be.
South
He got. I
Carolina?
mean,
Going to be Virginia Tech? It's got to be with his son, right? I
look,
mean,
I almost guarantee you, someone makes him a shirt that is like the house divided thing, and
Oh
asks him
yeah,
to wear it.
you got to have one of those.
Look, he is who he is. He had a great time there. He will always be a Hokie, and he will be on the all-time list all the time. But his son is his son, you
yeah.
know. And his son
Mhm.
went to Carolina for a reason, to make his own name. And while, yeah, sure, it'd be nice if Virginia Tech is successful, he got no skin in that game at all.
Right.
And he's got all the skin in the game with his son. So, assuming that he is there, which let's hope that,
He'll be there.
he's feeling well enough and everything to be there. He did appear a little bit in that SEC show. Granted, he's sitting on a couch at home with his grandkids. But no, I got no doubt that, he will pay respect to Virginia Tech, and he's going to be great to be there. But he doesn't want them to honor him with anything or do anything. This is about Shane. This is not about
Yeah.
him,
Yeah,
and
good
I
point.
agree. I
Excellent
agree.
point. I like that.
and I don't
What about
even know
this?
him that well, and he doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, but I think he would agree with that.
He doesn't know us. He should know us by now.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? I had a buddy call me, and he's one of those that rants and raves about the most ridiculous things.
We should get him
But he
on.
did bring up a funny point that actually, like, normally I would not pay 2 cents to this, but it's actually kind of unique, unusual. But I see where he's coming from as far as unknown. So we play in the SEC. We play a physical brand of football. This is a SEC ACC matchup, which means you don't have refs from either of those conferences. So your referees are coming from another conference
Ooh.
that may not ref against an SEC team or an ACC team. What happens when we decide to play physical defense? We do play physical defense. If you brought those highlights a couple episodes ago, Sam, where it showed Jalen Kilgore, laying some wood. We know
Yeah.
that DQ Smith can lay the wood. We know David Busey can lay the wood. Dylan Stewart can lay the wood. We've seen his sacks. They are destruction personified. So if we play a very physical brand of football, then what's it to say that the refs? And I'm not saying that refs are going to ruin the game like LSU last year or anything like that. But what if we are taken out of our
That's a good point.
Really is.
our way of playing because maybe they call it a little bit tighter. They're not used to our brand of football, and all of a sudden we have to dial it back. And all of a sudden, because of that, we may be slightly less vulnerable. This is a very left field thing, but it was something that actually kind of piqued a little seed because of what happened against LSU last year.
It's interesting. I just Googled it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Buster.
Oh yeah, and that, just to finish up, I want you guys' opinion on it. And Sam, yeah, definitely, you got something there that you got to show. I can't wait to see it. But
Sir, I'm gonna give
it's
you
enough.
give you the clap emoji there because I wasn't even thinking about that. That is almost 100% what that LSU game became about. The neutral site does bring
Yeah,
that up.
yeah.
I've even been noticing some brand new refs so far in the NFL, guys where it's like their first year. There's been some turnover. I don't know why that is exactly. But aside from that, I mean, it goes hand in hand with some of the stuff. One of the big things here that Virginia Tech can take advantage of is Carolina shooting itself in the foot with penalties or exposing themselves to penalties or doing things that these refs might really key on that normally in an SEC game they might not, or in an ACC game they might, but we don't play in those games. So, no, for me, I'm watching this episode and I'm taking away that, yeah, watch out for drones. watch out for that kick returner, and play a clean game. Those are three things on top of everything else we know about Carolina football. You do those things, and that 70% chance that Sam gave us starts creeping up to 80, 85, 86, for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, just try to figure out who the referee, what the assignments are, and they don't usually. It says it's not it won't be announced till closer to the date, so I'm guessing Saturday. Let's hope it's. I don't know. I don't even watch like other conferences anymore. Let's hope it's a Big 12, maybe. I don't know. Like let's
Yeah,
Big
to be
12
honest,
crew.
we're into some unknown territory. It's rare that we stump ourselves, which sounds a bit illicit, but it's definitely a point. It's definitely a point, and I'd be interested to see if on a national level or at least on ESPN they kind of talk about that at all. They probably won't because you don't want to throw the officials under the bus before the season's even started.
Yeah, no one's allowed to talk or criticize the officials.
But the neutral site does make that kind of an interesting thing. So look, we've hit a lot of our keys here. We even sort of talked about things like neutral site and officials and stuff like that. Before we get into some predictions and maybe some grades here, anything else you guys want to throw at us? Anything else you've been thinking that is a note here for Carolina and possibly
one
Virginia Tech?
note that I saw from Shane's press conference, he is not releasing a depth chart. So media and fans and Virginia Tech alike will not know who is starting for the University of South Carolina Gamecocks until we take the field for practice. Shane did say prior to the start of the game, when they go out there and do their warm-ups, they'll run some mock plays and some drills to where they have the starters, doing a quick run through, maybe part of the opening script and things like that. That's when you're going to find out who our starters.
Oh,
Shane is not releasing the depth chart. I don't know if Brent Pry is going to release a depth chart for Virginia Tech. Shane did say that. Well, he did say that he did call Coach Pry and said, "Hey, I'm not releasing the depth chart. You don't have to as well if you don't want. I just want to give you a heads up that we're not doing it." And Shane's reasoning was it's because there's a lot of, going back to the unknown part, there's a lot of ands and ors in the depth chart, which means this guy can start or this guy can start because everybody has been so competitive. It's hard to single out someone that is a defined starter outside of us.
Great problem. Great problem.
I have questions here because I'm thinking about other sports where you have to do that, right? Like in hockey, one of the big advantages, you come to my house, I can see every line that you're going to do, and I have that advantage. You don't have to do that here. But do you think internally, like the players know the depth chart really? Like there is a depth chart, he's just not releasing it?
It's one of those where inside the football complex, everybody has a good feeling. Now, granted, there might be where, let's say at the X receiver position, both guys have given 130%. Both guys have the ability to start. It would be more of starting based on maybe a potential matchup. And either way, that's something that Shane would tell the players, like, you guys both can be starters. It's just going to depend on how we want to do a matchup, maybe to start the script off at starting with the first play. Other guys definitely know. Like it would be highly unpredictable and completely surprising, and nothing of this world or dimension if anybody but Lenore starts for the South Carolina game.
I would have
things like that.
There could be some. I like the scheme matchup you're saying, right? Like, what if we go out there and we start with one wide receiver and 3 tight ends, right? Like 6 offensive linemen, 2 running back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we also could start out in a 4-3 or a 3-4 defense. Like, there's a lot of depth here that you can play with.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I saw, like between Shula and Shane and what we've done offensively, we do play 11 personnel and 12 personnel, which is running backs and tight ends, and dictating if we play a 2 tight end set, then we're starting, Michael Smith on one side. Are we starting Brady Hunt based on if we want him to block? Are we starting Jordan Dingle if we want him to break off the line and look to run a route? Are we starting with an H-back with Michael Smith or Mo Brown back there, the H-back with a run type play? It's less about gamesmanship as in keeping Virginia Tech in the dark, but more so we are so dynamic offensively and potentially defensively that it's really hard. If you release a depth chart now and you have some name here or there, the media is going to run with it. And they're going to speculate and do all this and that, and it may not be accurate to why that person is starting or this particular formation is happening, and so you're having two tight ends versus three
media is
wide
going to
receivers.
media.
So
gonna media.
I think it's really good for Shane. Yes, it's unfortunate for us fans because this is something for us to talk about, probably for the same for the media. But I think this is just like we got so much, playmakers, and we got so much of a dynamic offense and defense. Why put out a depth chart when you're just going to see what's going to happen come Sunday?
Yeah, it's cool.
I like it because it gave us 4 more minutes of content.
I was going to say I'm borderline shocked.
Keep doing
that's going to bring out my O face here because I didn't see that one.
Actually, you know what? Speaking of which, if we're going with that, for our listeners, if you have an idea of what you think the depth chart's going to be outside of the givens, drop it down in the comments. I want to see, because I have an idea of where, someone like Nick Harbor and Jared Brown and Vendrevius Jacobs and some of our younger guys, Brian Rowe, those guys at wide receiver. Well, where are they going to be? Who's going to start? Who's going to run that slot? Is it Jared Brown on the slot, or is he going to kick out wide on one play? I'll
go one further than that. I'll say, you listeners out there, you want to take Buster up on his offer, and you hit on some of these depth chart, and we'll shout you out on the next show.
Love that.
Maybe that's something we get going here. If this depth chart gets moving, and this is something Coach doesn't want to do, he doesn't want to do a depth chart, then we'll keep kind of a floating depth chart and keep tabs on this thing, because that's an interesting thing, not only as a fan to do, but also, gives us a leg up as fans to see what they are going to do and who can play where, like you said. I like that. 4 more minutes of content. That's good.
Is it? I got I got one little fun fact, and then we'll get to predictions too. So you guys mentioned there's a lot of turnover on this Virginia Tech team. They got a bunch of new running backs, so we can't even go and say, hey, this guy's from here, this guy's from here. Stud wide receiver, Selden from Tennessee. He could be dangerous. Yeah. I don't think he's going to quite make a big impact against us. He's more of an ACC type of receiver, but that's a dig right there. Fun fact, I think the best running back on Virginia Tech is actually a freshman. His name is Jeffrey Overton Jr.
Yes.
His dad, Jeffrey Overton, played quarterback at my alma mater, and I ran track with him for 2 seasons as a Hilton Bulldog. So that was fun. Of course, I was the miler and the 800 runner, and he was the sprinter doing 100s and 200s. But I think we ran one sprint medley relay race together when I was a senior. But really cool to see that his son is on the fat. I think his son is. We saw highlights, man. He's a stud. Got a lot of good players from around Woodbridge, Virginia, man. We saw Sean Murphy, obviously, with South Carolina, but Jeffrey Overton Jr. cheering for you. You'll probably redshirt this year. Cheering for you, just not this weekend, man. Let's go.
Individual
Let's go,
stats only. Yeah. That's cool. Well, right on. All right. Well, that's great. That's a lot of food for thought, and kind of brings us to finality here of what this is going to be and what we think about this game. I'm going to go to you first, Buster, because you brought us. I think if I was keeping score, like on Around the Horn or something, I feel like you brought in the most points. But
thank you.
How are you feeling about things? What do you feel like is a general game flow, and what's your prediction?
So there's always first game of the season, and especially after the last couple of years, there's a nervous energy, cautious optimism, all the key words we like to say. I think all of that is based on the fact that I think we are a dominant team. I think we have advantages across the board, position by position. I think we have the size advantage. I think we have the talent advantage. It's just a matter of these guys being able to put it together, knock off any offseason rust, knock off any first game jitters, and play to execute. The idea is that you don't need you go out there when you give 110%, so to speak. You're not trying to overdo it. You just need to play your responsibility and your execution, and then the plays will happen. And I think based on what Shane has done and how he's built this roster and how he's developed these players, I think that's what's going to happen. I think these guys will play within their abilities. They will execute. It's not going to be 100%. We always make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But I think they will execute and be efficient enough to come out victorious. Quick little note. I will put down a shot of bourbon on this one. But in this game, I will see a sellers-to-sellers connection. We're going to see Lenoris make a connection with his brother Jaden Sellers, whether it's a shuttle pass, screening pass, over the top pass. I'm not
so sure it's going to happen so early. But I like you going out for that. Hey, there's our chickens.
Yeah. Little sellers to sellers connection. I'm going to say final score. We're going to go 28-10. We will cover. We will win. We will come out 1-0 at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, and we will start this year off
Yeah,
with a dub.
football's everywhere. I'm
Love-
down for that.
Love that. By the way, I didn't mention it at the beginning, but yeah, spread is 7.5. Over under 49.5. So you're taking the under as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the under.
I 100% think that at the beginning of the season, it's always defense is always starting off stronger. The offense gets better as the season goes
I
on.
agree.
We've seen that a lot at South Carolina, but I think that's just probably the way it is, and not even just college football, but football in general. I could see we're the better talented defense. We have more playmakers on offense. We have the best player on the field, which is Lenore Sellers. I really, I don't see this one being terribly close. I think it's going to be something around what Buster said, 30-13, maybe 31-13, something like that. I think we get a couple quick scores in the first half, and then just a lot of ground and pound, baby. Let's get Faison involved. Let's get Attaway involved. Let's throw a little bit distribution from Harbor to Sellers. I like that. Let's get Michael Smith involved as well, and then let's just see these stud wideouts run some crisp routes. So I'm thinking 31-13.
You got a shot? You got a shot bet?
Well, I'm infusing this vodka, so it's gonna be a lime vodka because I want to make like a limoncello martini later on this
nice.
week. So I'll tell you what.
I see you.
If
I
we
see
don't
you
hit,
there.
if we don't do the under, and we don't get the cover, then I'll do a shot of that lemon vodka, and we'll do it together next week, Buster.
Very good.
Beautiful.
Very good. I'm with you guys. I think I'm gonna go bigger and bolder. I want to blow them out. I want to catch fire here. I want to just get completely on fire. I would like to even see a backup quarterback come in the game late in the game, but I think defense scores. I think Virginia Tech gets a little tricky and maybe goes for a fake somewhere. It doesn't work. And I think they also think about going for two here and there to try to, just because they're in the red zone and they feel confident with drones that he'll be better in the red zone. I'm going to go a little higher, and I'm going to say, yeah, maybe even the over. I'm going to say maybe even we look like who the country says we are at number 13, possibly even number 11 I'm seeing now that Faison is there.
Nice.
And I think we hit into the 40s, 42.
Ooh, flex on them. Flex on them, buddy.
42, like 15, like they missed an extra point somewhere or something
5
like
field
that, like
goals.
something a little weird. And I think both teams are getting tricky on fourth down and on special teams. And I think they want to put on a show. I think both teams know they're on Sunday. I think they're playing in the biggest stadium they're going to play in all year, basically, in terms of just where they're going to be. And I think they want to take advantage of that, not only from a wins and losses standpoint, but just from a program standpoint. Like Virginia Tech's going to want to show they're competitive at least. They got to take risks. We got to show that we are who the nation thinks we are, especially after the way we finished last year. And I think I'm on my own there, so I think that's my shot that basically hit the over. And so sounds like I'm probably gonna do a shot, but
One of us
is
is
that limoncello stuff, but I'll find something.
All right, we got you on that.
And I think we've hit it. And honestly, guys, really insightful this episode. Some things I didn't think about at all that even weren't in the notes. And especially the neutral site and the referees, that was a good one. And let us know what you guys think. You agree? You disagree? We're way off base with the predictions or with some of these things. Please let us know, and we'll do a follow up if we're that far off. But we're getting excited for this, and I think you guys know what I want to say next. So I want to give you a point to say anything else you want to say before we wrap things up.
Yeah. Spot the damn ball. Let's go, boys.
Football season's in the air, brother. Let's go. Gamecocks,
Yeah,
baby.
right?
Let's get Sandstorm.
I can
Let's
hear
get Sandstorm,
2001 right now in the
Oh,
background.
yeah.
That's going to bring us to another solid first game of the season episode of Alumni.
Yay!
Cox. Good job, boys.